when the human one comes, who's Jesus, when he comes back again, will he find such faith on earth? In short, Christ like faith, as much as it is precious, it is something very rare, for lack of better words. That is my own terms, right? Faith, which is the most important thing, is like what is lacking in a majority of people. Faith, which is very important, is what is like lacking in a majority of people. Will I find such faith on earth? And I've ever shared many times in Tarudia, I learned through the years that faith, majority of us confused to think faith, we should have faith for things. I'm a faith in things. But the Bible has always taught us, from the text to Mesoma previously, it's about having faith in God. It's faith is not about things, it's about faith in God. There are people who think faith is about things. I want a Lamborghini, so I'm having faith in Lamborghini. But the Bible doesn't teach us about having faith in things. The Bible teaches us about having faith in God that produces results. Faith in God that produces results. And last time nikawapatia a certain form of joke. Nikawapatia joke nikawambia, that was last week nikawambia, sai hata niambie na imuti, right? That nitakuchukua na ndege kesho. Right? Ndege atasema maze hiyo ni stories za jaba. But nikimwambia nitakupik, hapo at least ataningoja. But nikwambia wewe ningoje bali fulani nakujia na ndege. Hiyo hata sina mtu atasema anajua sitakuja na ndege because she has maybe not seen my ndege potential. Na hiyo siongei kama dharau. She's not seen my ndege potential, but ako sure nikimwambia nitakupik at this time with my vehicle, ako like nitakuja. So the first definition hapa ya faith, the writer anasema Hebrews 11. What is faith? Tunajiuliza, what is faith? Ako like, it is the confidence assurance that something we want is going to happen. It is the certainty that what we hope for is waiting for us, even though we cannot see it up ahead. Men of God in the days of old were famous for their faith. Meaning, the writer hapa nikikuliza hata simple terms, what is faith? The writer hapa anasema, faith is the confidence assurance. Bible yangu ya King James inasema, faith is the substance of the things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance. Faith is about substance. Faith is not about the unimaginable. Faith is about substance. I have to have something of substance that I can hold to in hope of what I am looking for. This is what faith is. What do I have to work with? For lack of better words, I'm using like terms in tunaweza allow. What do I have to work with? Because some people think faith ni leo niamke na ni imagine tutaenda kwa Titanic na tutoe hiyo Titanic uko chini na sijui. That is faith. There are some people who think that is faith. My friend, uliza watu wa Ocean Gate. Ilikuwa Ocean Gate ndo walisink kama ilikuwa what happened. It's not that a funny thing to joke about, but wasa Ocean Gate walijaribu kwenda kwa Titanic alafu sijui ka explode. Yo stuff ilianalyzewa walikuwa wanatumia cheap things from Amazon. 50 bob kujenga hizo vitu za sijui $50 sijui ku airtight hiyo tank. Ilianalyzewa in a funny way. But faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Ako like, there is hope. I'm hoping for something. But faith is not that hope. Faith is the substance of what I am hoping for. That's why nikawambia, if niambie na mti, nitakuchukua na ndege. She will be like, stories aja? There is no substance. There is no substance that nitamchukua na ndege. Because unaweza kaa hivi chini ujiulize, how come one person, there are two Christians, Christian A, Christian B. How comes Christian A is able to hold on to faith till the end and Christian B gets discouraged? You have to ask yourself the question, how come we are two human beings? There's no one human being that is special than the other. Circumstances might be different. We might be in different countries, but we are human beings. The same brain, the same 24 hours, the same skins. Hata kama mwingine ni white, mwingine ni brown, nini skin is skin. Maybe difference ni one person is living in an advanced country where kuna vitu they seem advanced, mwingine anaishi kwa country where things seem primitive. But these are same human beings. How come one person is able to trust God, now go through the end, and one person is discouraged? You must ask yourself, what is this? What makes person A hold on to God that makes person B not hold on to God? You have to ask yourself that question. Then, but when you realize faith is about a substance, then to realize, wait a minute, faith si karata ama bet wanita aso ako bet. Faith is not betting. Faith is not just hoping for the blues. Faith is about a substance. I have something to work with. Meaning, wow, I love NIV because imetumia 2 words. Underline that word, confidence and assure. Inasema, you have to be assured of what you do not see. And you have to be confident of what you hope for. Niongeze, confidence na assurance. Me, the version I'm using a different, a Living Bible, inatumia different words. However, ako like faith is confidence, faith is assurance. Imekwambia faith is the unseen. Ama faith is the hope. Faith is the confidence and the assurance. So, turudi to analyze this text pole pole. Verse 2 inasema, men of God in days of old were famous for their faith. Men of God in days of old were famous for their confidence and assurance in God. They were confident in God and they were sure in God. Men of old were famous because they were confident in God and they were sure in God. They were definite. Sibatishi. 20 verse 3 nasema, by faith, by believing God, we know that the world, the stars, in fact, all things were made at God's command, and that they were all made from things that can't be seen. Ako like, through faith we understand that the world was framed by the word of God, so that the things that were seen were not made by the things that were not made of things which do appear. Where is faith hapo? What was the substance hapa that formed creation? Poleni, si ati nataka kuwafunza vitu complex. Venye tu I'm like, we were reading the book of Hebrews, leo tumefika 11. So, tunaenda na Hebrews 11 and we get something. The substance that created everything is the word of God. How was God able to create everything that we're able to see? The substance here ni the word of God. Through faith, we understand that the world was framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. But hama tuambia, through faith, we, I think natumia the word we. Through faith, we understand. How are we able to understand? How are we able to understand how God created everything that we do not see? Through faith. We understand that the world was framed by the word of God, so that the things that are seen were not made by the things that do appear. 20 verse 4 inasema, by faith, Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gift, and by it, he being dead yet speaks. Ya kwanza imetuambia story ya existence, ama birth. The second hapa tunaingia story ya Abel, which is how was Abel able to give an offering to God that pleased God, and Cain was not able to give. Cain gave God kitu that are considered useless. One of my friends used to joke kitambo akisema, Mungu anapenda nyama choma kwa sababu Abel alipea God nyama, Cain akapea God mboga. Na ako like, God apendangi mboga. This is just a funny joke. But the Bible hapa tells us, Abel obeyed God and brought an offering that pleased God more than Cain gave an offering. Did. The writer ako like, wait a minute. How is one person able to give an offering that pleases God, and another one an hesito offering that pleases God, ama another offerings? I know story ya offerings na giving iko na tingine huku kubwa yenye hata sitaki kuanza. Wacha mimi nifanye kazi yangu. Just joking, right? Stay kuingia hiyo debate. Story ya offering, right? But the writer iko like, wait a minute. How comes one person is able to give an offering that pleases God, and another person is not able to give an offering that pleases God? What does this person have and know that another person does not have and know? I used to live in Karen. Living in Karen was a good thing, because at times you might easily think that with my experience, I realized no wonder some people are rich and no wonder some people are extremely poor. Because it's so sad to find a poor person anadharau kitu that can even make him rich. It is so sad. It is so sad to find a poor person anadharau hata biashara ya cleaning, having a cleaning service. Yet you find a rich person akona cleaning service company. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's funny when you find a poor person wants to go shopping Carrefour, and yet his rich employer wake anaenda Gikomba anavaa gumboots. Anaenda kutafuta fish Gikomba. The person I lived with, yeye alikuwa na drive gari anaenda Gikomba anaenda na buy fish. Amevaa gumboots anaingia Gikomba na buy fish. And he's the rich person. Where the poor person anataka kwenda kubuy the same fish Carrefour. Yenye yeye ameenda kubuy at like a third of the price you're buying Carrefour, ameenda kubuy huko kwa nini. I came to learn that some people enye no wonder God has blessed them with wealth. Because hawadharau certain things that other people anadharau. You find a poor person anadharau giving to God, even helping people. The basic things about even giving a small. Now, this person is not even, if you're worth 50 bob, like, is that God and expect to pay 1 million? Yet you find someone else is wealthy and they are serious givers. What makes this person give to God and someone else how many value are giving to God? The writer is like, wait a minute, faith. Enoch trusted God too. That is why God took him away to heaven without dying. Suddenly, he was gone because God took him. Before this happened, God said how pleased he was with Enoch. You can never please God without faith, without depending on him. Anyone who wants to come to God must first believe that there is a God and that he rewards those who sincerely look for him. Version ingine inasema, by faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found because God had translated him, for before his translation he had this testimony that he pleased God. But without faith it is impossible to please God. For he that comes to God must believe, number one, that he exists, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Apart from Juliza, what is the substance here? Number one, you have to believe that God exists. And number two, you have to believe one thing that a lot of people who I see they're discouraged. They are usually told it's wrong. That God rewards diligent seekers. That God rewards diligent seekers. There is no way someone who prays to God every day can be the same with someone who does not pray to God every day. There is no way. There is no way they are getting the same reward. There is no way someone whose focus ya God ni kwa God continually. Na wewe uko na time ya Netflix. There's no way you can be the same. There's no way you'll be rewarded the same. There's no way. There is no way you guys will have the same faith in God. There is no way. Unless mimi niko na story zangu. There is no way you can have faith in God. Because this gentleman is like, it is impossible to please God without faith. It is impossible to please God without recognizing, number one, that God exists. And number two, very important, God rewards diligent seekers. God rewards diligent seekers. I normally share this statement which I learned kama Arnold, and which iko still in these verses yenye tulisoma in Luke 18:1-8 anasema, he will give them justice quickly. God provides justice to those who cry to him day and night. Will he be slow to help them? Let up anauliza, will God be slow to help those who cry to him day and night? I tell you, he will give them justice quickly. Me normally, through my own personal experience, I came to the conclusion, if you are committed to seeking God, it will take you no more than 3 days to see him at work. As Arnold, no more than 3 days. Ikienda sana 1 week, na hiyo ni imeenda sana. But I believe even the first day you will see God. You will see God. So that is what I believe from my own personal experience. My own personal experience is debatable. So hakuna ya kudebate. Ya kudebate. Wewe kaa chini na commit. Mimi I'll commit to God and I'll see what happens. Because me, the first time I came to God na nikuwa like, God, I want to see you for who you are. Haikuni take that day. Haikuni take that day. I saw him for who he is. Acha tuendelee. Verse 7 nasema, Noah was another man who trusted God. When he heard God's warning about the future, Noah believed him even though there was then no sign of a flood, and wasting no time, he built the ark and saved his family. Noah's belief in God was in direct contrast to the sin and disbelief of the rest of the world, which refused to obey. And because of his faith, he became one of those whom God has accepted. By faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. Apo, we can just look at it in terms of how was Noah able to build an ark at a time when there was no floods. Floods never happened, yet God told him build an ark. How was Noah able to be like, I will do this against what is happening huku nje? Story yangu ya faith ilianza na such situations. Nikijuliza, how comes other people are able kukaa chini na waseme, unajua times when you listen to the testimony of other people who like, what about me? Msana kuambia how he thanks God ameweza kubuy Prado ama ameweza kufanya nini. Jamaa fulani alisemanga joke ati watu wa Prado ndo wanasemanga ni God. They can't explain how they bought the wanasemanga ni God. Just joking. Alisemanga that. But someone can tell you ni God. Mpaka woka hivi chini uanze kujishuku. Ni God. How can I also translate? I think I'm a better preacher than you. So how can God work in you and does not work in me? Those were questions that used to linger in my life kitambo. Wachana hata never even thought about stories za gari kitambo. And I used to ask God, Father, how come some people are able to pray for other people and see results na missionary results? There was a time I was very discouraged. No, God brought me to this text. Akaniambia, Arnold, faith is not about holding on to the unimaginable. Faith is about the substance. You have to get the substance. You have to ensure you have the substance. That this is the only way faith makes sense. Faith is not kuamka asubuhi na kusema I have a big faith. I used to disturb myself a lot because at times people tell you need to have big faith, you need to have this for this to happen, you need to have this and this to happen. You need to be in faith, and it makes you feel like kwani mimi siko in faith, kwani siko in nini? Until when God brought me to this text akaniambia, Arnold, faith is about a substance. Stop concentrating in the unimaginable first. Get the substance. Get the substance, get the confidence, get the hope. Get the assurance first. Build yourself in confidence, build yourself in assurance. That's why Jesus are like, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can speak to a mountain, you move. Notice your situation, Christ anawaambia. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can tell this mountain, toka hapa, enda pale. Now that mountain obeys you. Notice the person who's telling you those words is someone who was sleeping. There was a storm. Na akaamka akaambia wacheni kunisumbua kwani hamniamini. He calmed the storm, storm ikatulia, watu wakashindwa. What kind of man is this that he's able even to speak to the seas, to the storms, and they are natulia? How comes Jesus was able to accomplish that and his disciples were not able to accomplish that as per the time? Remember the story of casting out of a demon. The parent who brought a child with a demon. Disciples walingangana wakangana mpaka wakashindwa. Christ akauliza, how long will I be with you guys? Akawambia, this kind haitoki except by prayer and fasting. That text is debatable. Some people think Christ was saying there are bigger demons that hazitoki because of there are people who interpret that to mean they are demons which ndoe I demon uitoe lazima ukue you have a strong faith. But ukisoma hiyo text vizuri you realize when Jesus aliwaambia this kind haitoki unless by prayer and fasting, hakuwa anamaanisha a demon. Halikuwa anamaanisha the unbelief that was in their disciples. The difficulty in doing what Christ was doing comfortably. The difficulty. Why is it difficult for you to accomplish what someone else is accomplishing comfortably? There has to be unbelief. Because if Christ like even a small faith can move a mountain, what is this that you have in you that cannot even move anything? Has to be unbelief. Because if Christ anasema, if a small faith can move the mountain, kama we how move mountain, inamaanisha, do you have faith or you don't have faith first of all? What really do you have? Unbelief. I feel unbelief is what should be dealt with in people. Unbelief is what actually needs to be dealt with. Seriously. Because if Christ ako like, a small faith can accomplish this, where can you accomplish this? Most definitely, unbelief. Meaning, what should you deal with? Unbelief. Ako like, this unbelief, you can only deal with it by prayer and fasting. When you take away food from someone and you just concentrate on what their God, there's a way fasting accomplishes so much tremendous things in people and takes away unbelief. Majority of the people who are able to walk in strong faith, ama exert their faith in a great way, ask them about their prayer and fasting. I tell you, a lot of things that Arnold nilianza ku experience when I was, I don't know how I can describe. I can say there was a difference between Arnold who was never praying and fasting, and there's a difference between an Arnold who prays and fasts. A big difference. And notice, I'm not praying and fasting to try and twist God's arm. Praying and fasting deals with one of the key things that we are being taught here, unbelief. Because if faith is confidence and assurance, what makes someone else lack confidence and assurance? It is unbelief. It is unbelief. And majority of our unbelief is because we have learned wrong things about God. We don't know the right things about God. That is what builds unbelief. Verse 8 hapa inasema, by faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should receive should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing where he went. Ukikachina ujulize tu this swali. How was Abraham able to be told, toka hapa enda huko, mali hata ajui na aende? How was he able to be in confidence and trust and assurance and believe kufanya hiyo? By faith he sojourned in a land of promise, in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles, which Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Through faith, also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed and was delivered over a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised, or she considered him faithful who had promised. Notice such examples of faith. Sarah, way past her childbearing age, she's able to conceive. The writer anatuambia because of one thing. She did what? She believed. She believed. Then verse 13 is very important. It's a verse that God used to encourage Sana, so that I can grow so much in my belief and not get discouraged by the lack of results, ama by wanting just results. Because at times, if we think faith is about results, we will lose it. Sijui kama ninafunza poa. We will lose it. Because utajaribu kitu kiumane na useme Mungu si ukweli. But if faith is about building that confidence and assurance, then you will get it. Because listen, verse 13 inasema, these men of faith I have mentioned died without ever receiving all that God has promised them. But they saw it awaiting them on ahead and were glad, for they agreed that this earth was not their real home, but that they were just strangers visiting down here. Version nyingine inasema, this all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them and embraced them and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on earth. The writer hapa anatuambia, all these men of faith, they died in assurance. They died in assurance. They are promised, like, having seen them afar off, they were persuaded of them and they embraced them. Now I realize, wait a minute, we are strangers. Imagine the writer hapa anatuambia, these guys simply died in assurance, in confidence, in trust, in belief, not having seen the end results. But they still had faith. Kumaanisha faith is what is being described. Confidence, assurance. This verse 13 ilini bless sana, even as a young boy, as a kitambo. Because especially your story ya nini inaitwaje ya Galaxy, yo Samsung Galaxy. So nakumbukanga cause nakumbuka iliniuma sana. Yo time nilikuwa na matululu mbili. Very, 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 I used to feel very, siko na jali sana, but I used to feel very downcasted. Hiyo time ukienda kupray God anakuambia, Arnold, wewe hiyo phone utaipata. Ni gani phone gani unataka? Galaxy. Wanakuambia utaipata. Now God told me one thing that I never even dared to do, because I lacked the confidence. God aliniambia, ingia mat enda tao, enda kwa shop ya Galaxy. Those are the words God told me. as Arnold, sikuwa na hata confidence ya kuingia mat. And I'll give you this example. How many times mimi kama Arnold, nimeenda mahali, someone is ordering something, God ananiambia, pay for that for them. Do that for them. Sio ati sasa nilikuwa ati naingia gari nikihope maybe that will fanyika, but I can imagine situations where mimi, God has told me, do this for this someone. I can imagine situations where God has told me, Arnold, this person ako hapa nyuma yako, hana do. Paka kuna one time was someone nikamuliza, wewe, na sikuongea kwa hiyo, sikuwa naongea kwa ubaya, wewe in your right mind, what are you doing here without money? Ama you are very sure I was to come and pay for you? No offense. Na siongea hivyo kwa madharau. I was just like, what are you doing here without money? But that person has maybe something that I didn't have. A confidence and assurance that when God tells them do something, move, yako like, I think I am sure.